What's going on, guys? Nathan here with a Team Fortress 2 equation video. Now, if you haven't heard of such a video before, that's completely alright. Basically, I've done a video on the past in this exact same format in which I did it on Borderlands 2, and I basically made up an equation that would give you the absolute value of a gun in Borderlands 2. Sorry, I'm getting my games mixed up there. It was basically an equation I invented that would help people distinguish what is an actual good gun in Borderlands 2, and the equation actually gave you a value to compare guns to, which is extremely awesome. Now, this video is that exact same format and everything, except that I'm going to be doing it on a mini sentry versus a level 3 sentry and their damage per second. Now, this video is going to be really hard to explain, not going to lie on that part, but if you are confused at all during the video, just feel free to leave a comment and I'll try to explain further in the comments as best as I can. So one day I was randomly thinking, and we're just going to use these notepad notes here for example, one day I was randomly thinking, if you were to build a mini sentry, let's just say at your spawn or something, and let's just say we're in a perfect Team Fortress 2 world in which it will immediately start firing at an enemy with unlimited health, just for this example. So in Universe 1 here, we are going to go ahead and build a mini sentry. Universe 1, build a sentry. Just as a side note as well, these notepads are being used more for a visual than for anything else really, because I know some people don't really learn just by hearing stuff, and they'd really rather prefer something to look at. So Universe 1, we build a mini sentry. Forgot to add that part in. So we're going to go ahead and build a mini sentry. It is going to build in the 2 whatever seconds that it takes to build, and it is going to start firing at this enemy of unlimited health, just for this example. So obviously this sentry is going to be doing damage already, as in a parallel universe, which we will call Universe 2, we're going to go ahead and build a level 3 sentry. Now, what the purpose of this entire equation is at one point will this level 3 sentry outdo the damage that is already being done by the mini sentry. So if we go ahead and build a mini sentry, it is going to take 2 seconds for it to build. If we then build a level 3 sentry, or rather at the exact same time, it is going to take roughly 20-ish something seconds to upgrade to level 3, assuming that the sentry does not start firing, and it only starts firing once it is a level 3 sentry. At what point will it outdo the damage already accomplished by this mini sentry? So I have the equation here. Now let me kind of explain all of the elements of this notepad file. So here we have the mini sentry equation, the level 3 sentry equation. By the way, S stands for seconds that it is deployed. So like if I have my mini sentry out for 5 seconds, S would equal 5. Now, the mini sentry build time, which I actually recorded with DxTory in Team Fortress 2, assuming that I'm hitting the actual mini sentry while it's building, because I have to give it kind of that benefit of the doubt, which I do actually for the level 3 sentry as well, it takes 2.75 seconds to build a mini sentry while hitting it. So the level 3 sentry, which I also did time in the shortest time possible, getting ammo from spawn and letting it actually build and upgrade, it takes 25.5 seconds from the start of actually setting down a level 1 sentry to upgrading it to a level 3 sentry ready to fire. Now, this advantage switch is the key point and the whole point of this notepad file, or this equation. The advantage switch is from 14 to 15 seconds, which I will get into that later. So what are the actual elements of the equation? Well, this 48 right here is the damage per second of a mini sentry, and I got this off of the Team Fortress 2 wiki. If we go to a combat mini sentry, by the way, wiki.teamfortress.com/wiki/sentry_gun, what we have here is the average DPS is 48. Okay, so that's the damage that a combat mini sentry is going to do per second. So we are going to insert that into the equation right here, and it is going to be multiplied by the seconds that it is deployed. So you have the damage per second times the seconds equals the actual damage. Now, the damage per second for a level 3 sentry is actually 128, which I actually have it by, or I have it one off there, my bad. So the damage per second for level 3 Sentry is 128, which I got from here, and they simply get this number by multiplying the damage per second, or the damage times the shots per second to get that number. And obviously the Wrangler is higher, but we're not going to bother with that right now. So then what I did was I subtracted the build time of the level 3 Sentry minus the build time of the mini Sentry to get the difference of the build times. Now this is where it gets a little bit complicated. Why did I subtract these two numbers? Well, what I'm basically doing is I'm taking, so let's say the mini Sentry builds and is done while the level 3 Sentry is still being built. The difference between the mini Sentry being able to fire and the level 3 Sentry being able to fire is represented by this number, and this number represents the extra damage that the mini Sentry is going to be able to do while the level 3 Sentry is building, and it is multiplied by the damage per second of the mini Sentry. Now these two values are added because this is the damage per second of the mini Sentry plus the additional time it will get while the level 3 Sentry is still not firing. So this is the little added bonus that the mini Sentry gets while the level 3 Sentry is out of commission. Now, the level 3 Sentry equation is fairly simple. It is simply the damage per second times the amount of seconds that it is deployed. Now, here's where we get into the key factor. If we actually multiply this out, the damage switch is from 14 to 15 seconds, meaning from 14 seconds and under, the mini Sentry is going to be doing more damage than if somebody would actually build a level 3 Sentry and it would start firing. At 15 seconds, the level 3 Sentry actually does more damage than the mini Sentry would be, assuming that you started both builds at the same time. So just to kind of run this example, to calculate the actual damage per second of the mini Sentry that it will be doing, sorry, I keep randomly right-clicking, it's just kind of a habit of mine. So we simply plug in 14 seconds. We'll try this value, 14 seconds, so it's 48 times 14, and feel free to watch in 1080p to see these small numbers. I know it's pretty hard with the resolution of everything and how it's all small, but anyway, so we're going to add, and we're going to do parentheses, 22.75 times the damage per second of the level 3, or of the mini Sentry, which is 48. So if we go ahead and click the end of parenthesis and then we do equals, it is 1,764 is the amount of damage that the mini Sentry is going to be able to do before the level 3 Sentry can be completed. The level 3 Sentry, on the other hand, if it finishes building and is actually deployed ready to fire and or firing for 14 seconds, it is going to be doing 128 times 14 equals 1792. So here we can see I was actually off by about 30 damage, being I had actually run these equations before with the 129 times the seconds versus the 128. But as we can see, basically 14 seconds is going to be the cutoff. At 13 seconds, actually, if I go ahead and change this, from 13 seconds to 14 seconds is the cutoff. So at 13 seconds and under, your mini Sentry is going to be doing more damage than a level 3 Sentry if it was being built and then ready to fire, versus if your level 3 Sentry survives long enough to basically be deployed for more than 14 seconds, it is going to actually be doing more damage constantly than a mini Sentry would have if you had decided to run offensive Engie. So what does all of this mean? Well, it basically means that in order for a level 3 Sentry to do more damage than a mini Sentry being built and then being deployed, it has to be actually deployed for 14 seconds in order for it to maximize, or rather basically just do more damage than the mini Sentry. So, for example, let's say you've built up a level 3 Sentry, it hasn't fired on anyone. If you build it near, let's say, a King of the Hill map right on the point, and then it gets destroyed 5 seconds later after being deployed by an Uber demo, for example, then you just missed out on damage that you could have been doing with the mini Sentry. So that is pretty much what I'm trying to get across, guys. Just kind of something to keep in mind with Engineer. You know, options for running offensive Engie versus kind of a more defensive Engie playstyle. And yeah, so that was pretty much the video, guys. I really hope you kind of understood it. It's really hard to explain, let alone think up on itself. And yeah, I mean, if you have questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I'm not entirely sure if I explained it really that well, so just kind of leave confusion in the comments, and I'll try to clear it up as best as possible. And that is the video, guys. Please leave a rating on it if you did enjoy it, and feel free to subscribe for more Team Fortress 2 content, and peace out.